But Johnny, we have a special treat, a very special treat on this Tuesday's OTB.
Speaking of climate change.
Speaking of it, so for the last year or so, I mean, most of my messages on Twitter have been no Sheahan, no party. Where's Eoin Sheahan? Bring back Eoin Sheahan. We get it every morning in the YouTube comments. And
forget about John Rogers. Where's Eoin Sheahan?
Exactly, and understandably so. Popular cult figure, you might even say. A genius, a wordsmith, a poet, a Kerry man.
Like Mohammed bin Salman there for a minute.
He's everything. This man, Eoin Sheahan, is everything to us, and we do miss him dearly. He's never been on the show. He sent in a couple of messages, little birthday messages or goodbye messages.
Well, he seems to be on a bus, like in transit.
He's always somewhere. I mean, following him on Instagram has been a journey in itself.
It has.
In and of itself. But we have a very special treat for OTB AM fans this morning, because for the first time since he left this building, Eoin Sheahan is coming into us live at 1:36 a.m. local time from a hostel somewhere, I'm told, in Peru. Eoin Sheahan, good morning, good night.
Good morning. That much is very much true. It's funny, Shane, because my Twitter mentions are often filled with this new, taller, more handsome, this guy with a nicer voice than you is doing a much better job than you on OTB AM. So
who's that?
Obviously the internet is just full of hate, Shane. And Johnny Ward bingo is already complete 6 minutes into the show. Climate change, Galway United, and racing. Tick, tick, tick.
F off
and
back to Peru, like
warm.
Jesus.
It just feels warm to be here. And do you know what? I'm always on a bus, because if I came on this show having said that I took a single flight over the last 2 or 3 months, Johnny Ward would have me cancelled immediatly. So
well, you can guarantee I have. Yeah, you can guarantee.
Johnny,
how are you?
You are disgrace. Sorry, say that again.
How are you?
Sorry, just one more time. How am I? What?
How are you?
How am I?
Deep philosophical
I'm very
question.
Well. Sorry, John. There's a bit of a delay there. I'm very, very well. Thank you very much. As Shane says, I'm here in a dark hostel room. My face barely illuminated there, but I can barely see. But I have the place to myself. They've obviously cleared the decks for OTB AM here in this room tonight. They knew that there was star power like Johnny Ward and Sheahan coming into the room, so they had to clear everybody else out of here. But very, very well indeed. And big congratulations, Shane, on Monaghan's win at the weekend. Big times ahead. I know you spared your visit to Croke Park at the weekend.
Of course.
You've got 2 more big ones yet to come before the summer is out.
Yeah, kind of. We're getting so confident now. We went into the minor final, and now we're into the senior semi-final as well. I just said, there's no point. We're not a quarter-final team anymore. Although the power rankings, the Tommy Rooney now power rankings, have been a touchy subject for Monaghan fans. We were 9th last week, Eoin, even though there were only 8 teams left. We'll find out later on this morning around 8 o'clock where we'll be. We're probably down to 10th, I'd say, after qualifying for the semi-finals. So the comments are rolling in, and Eoin, I did say to you before the show as well, like it's going to be a Monaghan Kerry final, isn't it? Like, that's what we're all waiting for here.
It is just, the Classico of football is what people are waiting for, given both sides of the draw at this point. People are looking at those 2 fixtures and tantalisingly looking in the mirror and saying, I want the big one, Monaghan and Kerry, and it is a big one.
Yeah, that's the one everyone wants. We've got the comments, Eoin, absolutely rolling in. Where is Eoin? We've answered that. He's in a hostel somewhere in Peru. We're not going to reveal exactly where. Rubnerd says we need him back to bring up the show's quality. Can he replace Shane? This is the general theme, Eoin, this morning. So we've got Eoin Yaboya, says Dave McLean. What is an expat? That's another deep philosophical question for us this morning. Eoin, you're missed here. Have you missed us as much as we've missed you?
Miss you deeply, whoever you are. Who's that person?
A lot of random Dave McLean. We've got Rubnert. Some of your old friends from the comments just I guess bouncing back in this morning once they saw your face. You actually look refreshed for a man who's been on the road for quite some time.
I'm absolutely not refreshed. I am broken and broke, and whatever sort of image you're getting off the screen this morning is a complete and utter lie.
I don't think you look fresh on, to be honest. I think you look absolutely wrecked. It's 1:30 in the morning. You've been travelling on buses for several months. Have you found yourself, though? This is the whole thing about these travelling expeditions. There we go.
I mean, you talk about Johnny Ward bingo. It was going to be Eoin Sheahan bingo. He's in a hostel somewhere in Peru. If the line wasn't going to freeze at least once, we'd have been going, why didn't it freeze?
All due respect to Peru and all that.
All due respect to Peru. We got you back.
He's
Eoin,
back.
Now we can see you, of course, but we can't currently hear you. But I mean, it looks great to just even see you, Owen. To be honest, like we could sit here. I think the OTB AM fans right now would just be quite happy. The quality of the show. I know you can hear us right now, but it's bringing up the quality of the show just looking at him. You know, having him on screen.
It's bringing up the quality of my life just looking at you guys. Like right back at you. If that's the way we're playing this morning.
Someone says in the comments, Jim Sweeney says, Owen has spent enough time finding himself, it's time to go home. Someone says has Owen booked his hotel for the All-Ireland final, says Shane?
Listen, I have a flight booked home for the last weekend in July, which happens to be the week leading into the 30th of July. It's just I don't know what's on that weekend, but I just happened to book that flight back in February, March, whenever it was, and that's when I touched down on Irish soil. If there's anything happening that weekend, please let me know.
That is the most Kerry thing ever, isn't it? The confidence,
come back for the final,
borderline cockiness, like to book your flight for that weekend, to probably land into Dublin Airport maybe 3 or 4 hours before throw-in, bounce over to Jones's Road.
Completely bypassing Dublin, actually flying straight into Kerry Airport. We do have an airport of our own. I mean, I do not need to go to Dublin anymore. Could be up and down in one day were there to be an All-Ireland final for Kerry, and I probably booked this flight the day after Mayo hockeyed Kerry, not only in the championship but in the league in Castlebar this year as well. So I mean, again, there's no connection whatsoever. I just want to be home for August. That's it. There is no connection whatsoever to whatever might be happening in the last week of July.
How many countries have you visited?
I'm not sure. Maybe 10 or 12. I'm not entirely sure off the top of my head, Johnny. Sorry, I should have come prepared. But a few. But they're big countries, so maybe like 10 or 12 doesn't seem like an impressive number.
Jojo, of course, works on sound with us here. He had said this morning when he was testing your line that you look great. He said you look older and more mature. Like in a good sense, of course, and then he's also saying that your look reminds him of one of the actors in Narcos, which I think is definitely a compliment, but not Pablo Escobar.
I mean, you know, wait to stereotype South America there, Jojo. I mean, just show the narco tag there and straight away. But thank you very much. I'll take that as a compliment. I'm definitely looking older, that's for sure. That is one thing that is absolutely undeniable at this point.
Jojo, of course, is from South America.
He's from Brazil, so he's allowed to say.
What were the football matches you visited been like?
Brilliant. Yeah, absolutely amazing. Like the best atmosphere, in my opinion, that I visited was Newell's Old Boys in Rosario. I was at a Boca game actually the very night before a Newell's Old Boys game. And maybe deep down I'm just a hipster who wants to be a little bit different, but I much more preferred the experience in Rosario at a Newell's game and seeing something a little bit off the beaten path. It's not off the beaten path. I mean, they're like a global club. Like the two most famous Argentinian players of all time are associated with Newell's. They're not a hipster club whatsoever. However, the Boca thing is pretty well blown up. It's not overly touristy, but it's pretty touristy. So to be one of the only non-Rosario natives in the home section at a Newell's game is pretty special, because that is an incredible theatre of sport, the Bielsa Stadium. And I'm sure you guys saw recently the free kick that Messi nailed in there at the Riquelme testimonial, I think 2 weekends ago. It's a special place, and that for me was probably the highlight. A top tier football, but I'm also a sucker for average grassroots football as well, and there was a particular experience in Belize which was very entertaining and very funny, and it was like a junior BGA match at home, and it made me feel all fuzzy and warm inside going to a Belize Premier League game. So two ends of the spectrum there, I think.
I have to ask you seriously, like, what's it like travelling for that length of time? It's like I'm an unbelievably privileged person to be able to do this. So that's like the first thing. Like, you do feel an unbelievable sense of, I'm incredibly lucky to do this above all else, and you feel like such a spoiled brat whenever you complain about it whatsoever. And the only complaints you do have are just tiredness and maybe the amazing things becoming a little bit less amazing after a while, because it becomes your routine very quickly. Like the first 2 months of being in Latin America are obviously insane. Everything is so vibrant, and the vibrancy settings get turned down because it essentially becomes your home, and this life becomes your normal life.
And as I say, the vibrancy settings get turned down a little bit, and you get 3 months in, and you feel like a complete spoiled brat, as I say, because you start to think to yourself, how do I re-find the excitement once again? So after a while, Johnny, it just becomes about trying to do different things, trying to travel in a different way that makes things a little bit more exciting, which sounds terrible when I say it out loud, given we are some of the most lucky people on earth that we are able to do this. People who are from Europe, who are from North America, who earn a wage that gives people the ability to do this. The amount of people I've met out here, people who would be earning a good wage for their country, who find it obscene that we have the ability to go to a different continent for a year. You couldn't count those conversations in two hands, that's for sure. And it just reminds you of how lucky we are. So
has it radicalized you?
I must say. Not radicalized in any sense. I'm maybe when you say what's it like, and you ask me for like one main emotion from it, I think it's a small bit humbling is the main emotion from it. But then again, I'm completely flaked emotionally at this point. I'm on the way home, so ask me again in 2-3 months, and I might have a more rational answer for you.
See, that's why we asked you to do it at 1:46 a.m. your time, because we thought we might get a few tears and philosophical kind of ramblings. That was certainly not a rambling. That was eloquent to a T, and probably answers the question: did Eoin Sheahan find himself in South America?
I think he did.
No.
Yeah. Oh no, he didn't.
I think you have.
I've not, like I found myself a long time ago. I'm just here. I'm just existing, guys. And like that. That's what I'm supposed to say, right?
That is profound.
Yeah.
That is pretty profound.
Yeah, thank you, John.
I exist, therefore I am.
There you go. Connor asks, what has been your favourite country, Eoin?
Argentina, no question about it.
No delay
far
there.
from perfect. No delay whatsoever. Far from perfect country in many ways. That probably is part of the appeal. To be honest, an absolutely incredible place, and it's a conflicting place right now for a tourist. Economically, it's a very, very lucrative place to be. You get double your money when you're transferring your dollars or euros into Argentinian pesos right now. The flip side of that is that you're seeing serious economic suffering at the hands of or just on the streets and in the lives of every Argentinian. And in the middle of this 10-year chaos of inflation, they just won the World Cup. So it's this very, very conflicting society, and to me, that's something that fascinates me. So you throw in all the natural resources they have and all the incredible things that they have on their doorstep as well. There is not a question in my mind that Argentina was the highlight.
It is mad. Like, I remember Owen being in, I think it was in Cambodia or somewhere like that, and I was haggling with the fellow over like 50 cents or $1, and I just was thinking back, like, what are you doing? You're an absolute asshole here. Like, you might have 5 or 6 grand to spend on this trip, and you're haggling over $1 with somebody for whom it means something. Yeah,
100%. And to be fair, there were definitely travellers who try and do this on the extreme cheap, and I can completely see their point of view. A dollar does make a difference on their end, but for me with Argentina, the crazy thing is that as a tourist, you're literally getting a benefit that the locals don't get. Like, they are earning Argentinian pesos, which is one of the most invaluable currencies in the world, and to them, dollars and euros are the most valuable thing in the world, and we are able to enjoy a steak, for example, for half the price that they would be able to enjoy it for, and yet it is their country.
That's mad.
It is. It's horrible when you think about it, but at the same time, do we just not go to Argentina? Do we just not play by the rules that would benefit us? It's a very, very conflicting thing, and that adds to the fascination.
So if you come back, like, obviously broke from this holiday, and you were offered like shitloads of money to go to Saudi Arabia, would you go?
Oh, I've got a deal already signed. Stephen Gerrard TV is coming to a Saudi Arabian television station near you, and I am your new host.
Off the Ball Riyadh, starring Eoin Sheahan. We're getting loads of comments, Eoin. Argentina because he pretends he's Alexis McAllister's cousin. You were on a hunt for Alexis's family, weren't you?
Yeah, like, I don't know how much to give away here, but I have been recording a bit of content, and there will be stuff coming out over the next few months. I did spend, it's a bit of a spoiler, but I did spend a bit of time with the McAllister family.
Oh wow!
Quite how that actually happened, I do want to hold back, because the way in which this situation developed was probably the most bonkers thing that's ever happened in my life. The way in which this meeting manifested itself is crazy. I'll happily come and reveal it all if the content I produce is absolute dog shit, but I'm confident that I'll be able to put together something that represents the story quite well. If you just want to keep the powder dry on this a little, but I do want to tell the story in a way that does it justice, because for me it was crazy to be having coffee with Alexis McAllister's uncle, and he's like, I guarantee you, if Graham Potter has gone from Chelsea, he's going to Liverpool. And sure enough, he's a Liverpool player right now. But I think the story deserves to be told in a better way than me at 1:51 a.m. here trying to recount it all.
Owen keeping the powder dry for what'll be a big deal. I think this is going to be big.
big Saudi Arabian podcast network near you.
Have people said to you like you don't look Irish at all, or?
The most Irish.
He's pretty Irish.
I mean, Johnny, come on.
I am Owen from Kerry. I'm red. I've got red hair and I'm not Irish. We've got loads still flying in here, Owen. Good to see Owen. Surely one of the 2-star guest announcements for the podcast show in the Cork Opera House in August is Michael O'Brien. Watch this space. I don't know the answer to that question. You'll have to get on to the head honchos about that one. Nice to see Owen again. Rosario was beautiful. Good man Owen, spreading the far and four love, says Stephen McCarthy. Has that been difficult watching the Kerry matches? A rake of Kerry games have been on GA Go across the summer, so I guess at least Wi-Fi depending, you've been able to watch some of the matches?
Yeah, like, I mean, as I think as Dion Fanning made the point in the Sunday papers on Sunday, watching via GA Go for people outside of the country has never been an issue. In fact, it's been handy to have GA Go available when you've been abroad compared to, say, what it would have been 5 or 6 years ago. So for me, I've been kind of a little bit separate to that conversation, and it's obviously been a debate that's been raging widely, but I completely get the sort of anger that's existed in Kerry with another game behind the paywall at the weekend. The one thing I would say is that every game has at least been available, with the exception of the Kerry Louth game, and I include all of the league games. I've managed to watch every single game, albeit not live, very often due to time difference or getting stuck in various places. But every single game, bar Kerry versus Louth, has been available on GA Go or TG Tahir, and I've been able to see every single game. So it hasn't been too bad from my perspective, but I definitely understand that there's some unhappy people in Kerry who are living in Kerry right now, but having to shell out all that money over the course of the summer.
I spent I think 7 or 8 weeks in New York when I was 15, and my cousin's mother, she's passed away since. She's a lovely old lady. She used to get me the Irish Independent. She'd pick it up at one of the stands where you could get the foreign newspapers, and that meant the world to me. And I remember watching Michael Collins that summer, and I had no interest in any of that stuff, but I watched Michael Collins and I came back with this deep love of Ireland. Will you come back on? Does absence make you love Ireland more?
I mean, you're telling me that I found myself, and now you're asking me these profound questions. This is your guys' fault, not my fault here. But yes, absolutely, Johnny. Our country has a lot of problems, a lot of significant problems, and there's a lot of people who live in Australia and who live elsewhere as a result of those problems. There's no question about it. But you do get talking to people who talk about Ireland being on their travel bucket list, or people who had it on their bucket list, visited, and had an unbelievable time. We have an amazing country, an absolutely unbelievable country, and I'm more acutely aware of that than ever. It may not be run in the most perfect way, and it may not be achieving its potential 100%, but in terms of its natural resources, its people, and what it is as a country, it's obviously, and it's more obvious to me right now, what an amazing place it is. It's obviously more profound right now because, I mean, it's GAA season, and when you see Kerry fans cheering an absolute annihilation of Tyrone, you just have this filled up energy of FOMO that I just want to be in Croke Park and be there. So you're catching me at a vulnerable time here, Johnny, and I know exactly what you're doing.
He does. He's trying to wrench that emotional wring it out of you as much as we can at this time of the morning for you. But it is that thing, it's that juxtaposition between how mental some of these countries are, but also how beautiful they are, and the people and the food and the culture and everything else, and it's that as well. It probably makes you appreciate the things we have here,
but it's breakfast time back home, in the words of Richard Cooper.
This is exactly it. My brother went to, he was one of these people who's emigrated to Australia in the last couple of months.
The big man's coming back already, isn't he?
Well, he said if Monaghan beat Dublin in the semi-finals, he's booking a flight. He's coming home. He's currently in Thailand. I think he's flying to Vietnam today, maybe.
He was not even going to make it as far as Australia, and he'll be back for the game.
Exactly. But it's one of those things things where he's been sending back videos in pubs in Bangkok at like 2 or 3 in the morning, watching Monaghan beat Kildare or beat Armagh on penalties, and the place just erupting, and like him and all his Monaghan mates just freaking out. It is that thing, Owen, isn't it? Like you feel so much more connected nearly to probably to Kerry as well because of the distance.
And like sport is such an amazing mechanism with which we use to connect with our own country. Other people have other ways of doing it, but sport, I believe, is the most effective way of doing it. And it's not just an Irish thing. Like there was a couple of boys I met in Bolivia who had, like, in passing said, if Carlisle get to the League 2 playoff final, we'll fly home. And I was like, well, that's obviously a hilarious joke there, boys. Well done and all that. And sure enough, they get to the final. I looked at their Instagram story. They're in Cancun, a billion miles away from Bolivia. I'm like, they're only going one way. And sure enough, they show up on television on Sky as Carlisle win the League 2 playoff final. Like, one of their mates is playing in the game. And I'm sure that's the same with your brother, Shane. Like, I think he's joking, but is he really joking? And like, I couldn't blame him at all if he flew home for such a once-in-a-lifetime thing. I'm not writing Monaghan off next year or the year after, but if Monaghan were to beat Dublin, I mean, it is close to a once-in-a-lifetime thing. And it's strange how more acute your association is with a sports team when you're a bit away from it. And that is probably saying something for me, given how stupidly and sickeningly biased I've always been towards Kerry, even when sitting in that studio.
Oh, never. I don't think anyone thought that, Owen. I mean, never.
Yeah, thank you, Sam.
There was never any cuteness coming from you at all, whatsoever.
Cheers.
But there's Bobby Dwyer, who you've probably missed, I'm sure, as well, from the YouTube comments.
Bobby, how are you?
He says, I'm no GAA fan, but I'd listen to Owen talk about anything now that I'm missing that much. Absence makes us love Owen more.
We should have Owen interviewing Shane on like how your stint has gone since he left, you know, for the next few
the
months.
largest shoes I've ever had to fill.
Yeah, well, and
I have bigger feet probably than Owen.
You have.
We've never actually measured.
Metaphorically.
Well, physically, but metaphorically, Owen's shoes were certainly.
The boy done all right, Owen, anyway.
I'd rather have bigger physical feet than metaphorical feet. Thank you very much for
It's like Always Sunny in Philadelphia, you know, the Uncle Jack who has the big hands and wants to let everyone know he has big hands.
Like, do you want Shane to do well, or do you want him to bomb? Like, be honest.
Well, it's too late now. He's about to come home.
Absolutely not. I would argue the little snippets of OTB end that I've seen, some snippets have gone more viral than others.
Some have.
I think Shane has done a magnificent job. So,
It's been interesting. Yeah, some of the interviews have been quite interesting, actually. Yeah. One or two people saw them.
I'm not sure what you're talking about there.
No, not a clue. Have you learned? Or you're probably fluent in Spanish now by this stage, Owen, are you?
Well, I came out here with not much, and it's okay now. To be fair, I can definitely have a conversation in Spanish, and that's definitely better than what it was before I came out. Yeah.
What's any phrases, interesting phrases? How could you play down Kerry's chances of winning Sam in Spanish?
I think Yera in English is Yera in Spanish, so thankfully that one translates pretty clearly.
So there's no translation needed. That's interesting. Like, has you were kind of famed and still are famed for your food reviews, for your Japanese delicacies at the Rugby World Cup in 2019 and other trips as well. Like, how has the delicacy and wine and beer experience been? Like, I guess it differs from country to country.
It does. It's been excellent. I think that the beer experience has, by and large, been outstanding. The wine experience in Argentina was obviously brilliant. I didn't really shell out that much in wine in other countries, so I can't really speak. In terms of the food experience here in Peru, it's absolutely amazing. Argentina is absolutely amazing. Mexico is amazing. Everywhere else was pretty average. Colombia was terrible.
Wow.
Love the country. Love the country. Terrible food. Terrible native food, I must say. Everything that they do, Peru just do a lot better. Same with Bolivia. Yeah, no, I mean, it's been good. I'm an unfussy consumer of foodstuffs, but Peru, Argentina joined top of the food chain. Let's go with that, even ahead of Mexico.
What's the cost of your current accommodation?
The current, believe it or not, actually, I've got a free night here in this particular hospital. This hospital I'm staying in, Johnny.
So zero.
It's called. It's a €0, but it's a special case. This hospital is called the Wild Rover. So as you can imagine, there's a bit of an Irish influence to this hospital. There is a number of Tipperary men who run the chain of Wild Rovers. They're notoriously party hostel, and if you are a little bit uncultured, you tend to go, or not necessarily broke, they're not necessarily cheap, but if you're particularly uncultured, you would go to the Wild Rover. And that sounds very, very harsh when I say it like that. It's a place where you will meet other English speakers. Let's put it like that. It's very European hostel. Then there's an Irish pub in the middle of all of them. Basically, as an Irishman, you're going to an Irish pub to stay in it. And if you manage to stay in all of those hostels, you get a free night in the final hostel.
Oh.
So let's just say I've got a free night in this hostel, which means I have managed to complete the royal flush of staying in Wild Rover hostels. I haven't gone for your local Peruvian who runs a very authentic hostel. I've just gone for the Irish option where it's been available over the last couple of weeks.
I
promise I've been a proper tourist in those stages.
To paraphrase Homer Simpson, I think Eoin Sheahan should walk out of here a free hostel. There we go.
Completed it, mate. He's completed the Wild Rover hostels. That's insane.
That's some achievement.
Oh, well, listen.
Being a Wild Rover for many a hostel, like. Yeah.
It's not bad.
Yeah, 4 for 4. Lads from Tipperary have set it up. So met them back in La Paz in Bolivia, where one of them, where they have an institution as well, and they're good people, and they are great hostels. To be fair, I don't know why I feel ashamed to admit that I've been at all of them, but it's a fact.
Owen is an institution. There you go.
He is an institution, and look, it's I guess that. They're obviously fans of the show, and they must have been, these Tipperary lads, if you're getting the free night as well, they must have been familiar with you and your story.
I think it's a very undiscriminatory process. You either stay in all of them or you don't.
Right, fair.
I don't think I've got any.
Before we let you go, Owen, I know Tommy is listening in ahead of the Tommy Rooney Power Rankings. I don't know how that makes you feel, but he's standing by in the next couple of minutes to join us. But I assume when you come back, and that's maybe a spoiler for some people, if you come back, when you come back in the next couple of months, you're going to be coming in heavy-handed, grabbing that mantle of leader of the Power Rankings immediately.
But the thing about the Power Rankings is that they don't have any leaders. They are objectively and 100% correct all of the time. All it takes is a presenter. Like I've seen some statistical nerds on Twitter trying to justify the Power Rankings, which is quite hilarious given they need no justification whatsoever. As we've always said, they are 100% authentic, correct, completely flawless, and it doesn't matter who's in charge of them. They are completely correct. By the way, I see that we're 3 minutes past 8 back home. I thought we were coming on for a chat about Kerry's greatness, and we've wasted half an hour chatting about my travels, which is a complete waste of everybody's time. I thought you were looking for some incisive games analysis. But,
never wasted. I just wanted to make the point that of course you should come back in and take the mantle. And look, excuse my language at this time of the morning, but the crappy quiz has gone to shit as well without your presence. So we need you back for that reason also. But on Kerry, Owen, explain to us where they should be in the Power Rankings at this particular, Kenny Cunningham, at this particular moment in time, and where are they in the grand scheme of things?
But they're number one. I mean, they're All-Ireland champions, and they are in a rich vein of form. Quite how big the difference is between them and Dublin is unclear, but it is very, very clear that there are two teams at the top of the pile in Kerry and Dublin. And I think we will all admit, including you, Shane, that it would take a hell of a surprise for that not to be the final. I will say this, it'll take less of a surprise for Derry to beat Kerry than it would for Monaghan to beat Dublin. And again, I apologise to you on behalf of that, but I think Dublin beating Tyrone is... I would be very, very surprised if there are any non-biased pundits who will be predicting a Monaghan win over Dublin that weekend. There might be a couple of rogue pundits who could see Derry doing a job over Kerry, and I think that probably speaks to the fact that Derry will cause Kerry problems. I think Dublin would have had a much easier time against Derry. I think they've got a much greater bank of experience of breaking down that sort of defence. And I think Kerry probably still have a little bit of a point to prove on that front, given they beat Mayo and Galway and Dublin last year during the summer, teams that are more relatively open than Derry. So they've got a bit to go in terms of proving themselves in that regard, but I think they will, and I think we will have a Kerry versus Dublin final. I think Kerry are the number one team in the country. But if you're asking me to predict the All-Ireland at the start of the year, I would have predicted Dublin. Dublin were the team. I think I actually said it the week Kerry won the All-Ireland last year. I think Kerry would struggle to do back-to-back All-Irelands, and I think I actually predicted Dublin on the show to win the All-Ireland the following year. I didn't expect to be in a position to be watching Dublin 12 months later, where Jack McCaffrey and Kieran Kilkenny are being sprung from the bench. That bench is terrifying, and people will go back all the time, and they'll probably stop doing this after the Tyrone game. But anyway, for the last month, people have been looking at that Killarney performance where Mayo eviscerated Kerry. People now think that all those questions have been answered about Kerry. There is still one big question mark about Kerry, and it is the squad depth that they have this year. They lost Joe O'Connor to a season-long injury. He would have been the big breakout star for Kerry this year, and he's been a massive loss, and that could tell by the end of the year. Losing Jack Savage for the year, who walked away, was obviously a big deal as well. And I think that squad depth could be crucial in an All-Ireland final, or in an All-Ireland semi-final where Kerry have to go 75 minutes with the game level pegging, for example.
Yeah. Listen, Owen, we've keeping you way over time. 6 minutes past 2 local time in Peru. Enjoy that semi-final against Derry. Enjoy the All-Ireland final, potentially against Dublin, or of course Monaghan, when you just happen to be coming home on that weekend by complete coincidence and chance. Owen, it's been a privilege, an honour. The commenters are still going to comment in for the next while. We could have spoken for another hour and a half, but an absolute joy. Thanks for hopping on this morning.
The joy is all mine. Thank you very much, lads.
Brilliant stuff. The great Eoin Sheahan joining us live for the first time.
He hasn't found himself at all. He's exactly the same.
I think he has.
No, he hasn't.
There's an element, but as he says, he probably found himself long before.